Let me show you something I've been obsessed with the last few days. 1millionchessboards.com. I ran into this website on Hacker News around 1 a.m. Monday morning, and I stayed up completely addicted to it until about 4 a.m. in the morning. There's a bunch of comments here on this Hacker News page, but let me show you what this actually is. If you go to 1millionchessboards.com, you see a bunch of chessboards. These go on forever and ever and ever and ever. There's a million of them, and when you join the site, you're assigned a color. In this case, I'm playing the black pieces, and you can move the pieces. Well, this is not traditional chess. You can make as many moves as you like. You can even do something like get a queen out and come over here and just completely eradicate every piece on the board. Let me do that for one moment. Someone else can be playing this game. They might show up at any moment and start moving pieces and attacking back. But check this out. Not only can you go to one board, you can totally move onto another board. So you can do all sorts of goofy stuff. Oh, there we go. Someone else is playing here. This is an online game, massively multiplayer. You can move around, and you know what? Let me kill this king and just get in a stupid little fight right now with someone, and we'll see who wins. Bah, bah, bah. So this game is way too much fun just for doing this alone. Let's dance around and see if we can get this person. Bah, 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 bah. Killing, 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 killing. And you can do this for a long time. Nothing ever really happens. The game doesn't end. You can go on forever and ever and ever. You can click on this mini map in the lower left corner, and let's see. Let's try and go into the lower right. There are areas in this game that have been completely cleared out. Here's the edge of the board, and there's just nothing over here. Let's see. It's possible to protect yourself. Let me see if this exists. So, even though you're in the middle of the board, like I said that you can move onto different boards, you cannot do a capture until you're actually on the board. In this case, I've got a bishop. I could move onto this board and kill these pieces and kill them out. But if I am on this original board, I cannot move over here and capture that bishop, for instance. I can move over here, move onto the board, move back around, kill the pawn, kill the bishop. But there is a rule where you can't move onto a board to make a capture unless you're there first. So again, here, I'd have to move here and then move there to actually get a kill. The only other rule is that kings cannot leave their board. So this king can walk around freely, but he can never move to another spot. So one thing that people have been doing is building these giant fortresses. This is actually an extra special fortress because none of these pieces can move. This king can't leave a board, and it's blocked on every other side by other pieces. The same with this king. And pawns can only ever move forward. So whoever created this structure is being a little goofy, where they've jammed all these pieces up to the top of the map, and they cannot move. People are doing all sorts of goofy stuff. It's hard to click around and just find something interesting. There is a button over here. We can click the skull button where we will see some activity. So this is someone playing as a rook, just scooping up a bunch of stuff. Let's see if we can make their day miserable. Looks like someone else already has. Let's find another piece of activity. Someone running around. Maybe we can fight them. Even this fighting stuff is totally addictive. Let's see who actually made this site, just to give some credit where credit is due. This made by someone that goes by the handle EIEIO. Their name is Nolan. They've got a bunch of projects on their website. They've made a website where you play Pong in your browser tabs. They do a bunch of goofy stuff, like here, you're playing Brick Breaker on your Google Calendar. They've got one where it's a website with 1 million checkboxes that people just check and toggle. Another one where they built an app where the whole world shares a caps lock key. So if you and I installed this app, the caps lock key would be on. If you push it, it would turn it on my computer. This is a goofy one. You just go to a web page and you stare at someone else's face silently. I'm not sure what that one's all about. It's kind of goofy. I do like this one. Generates crosswords from your passwords using the app One Password. So this is called One Crossword. Anything that has you typing in your own passwords in a website, I'm a sucker for. Over here, here's the actual person, Nolan. Looks like they've worked at some fancy places like a quantitative trading firm called Jane Street Capital. I don't know much about that. They've worked at Amazon. Now they're making games. I'm kind of laughing to myself that this is a pretty absurd game. So something in me wants to not call this a game, although it obviously is. Let's see. Let's see what people are really doing here. Let me scroll down to my notes. Just another note to the credit of Nolan, the creator of this. This chess game is built very well from a technical perspective. If you read their blog, you can read about this game and how they've built it. They've gone and done some sophisticated stuff where they get it to run on one server. They're writing it in Golang. The game exists in memory. They use WebSockets and send some binary data. That's just incredibly efficient and actually makes it harder for people like me to send other messages to the server without spending time decoding binary data, which maybe I'll get around to. They've got one fancy thing they hear called optimistic rendering, where if you're making a bunch of moves on the website, it makes your move, it assumes it's going to happen until the server rejects it. If, for instance, you and someone else were trying to move on the same square, it might show you your piece moving there, but if someone else tried to move somewhere at the exact same time, if they beat you first, you might see your piece just move back. I'm not going to get too technical about any of this stuff. What kept me so busy playing this game for like 3 hours between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. the first time I saw it? Oh, at first I got a little bit obsessed doing things like this, trying to get a bunch of rooks together, and I was just goofing around trying to get as many as I could and trying to fill up like an entire grid of it. So I've played just a little bit of StarCraft in my life, but I'm not good at StarCraft. But coming up with these little patterns of supply chain stuff really made my day. Anytime you attack someone, you kind of stand a chance to get on this skull activity meter button. So I tried not to draw too much attention by myself and just doing movement and not attacks. It's kind of a goofy meta of this game too. So there we go. I've just spent a little bit of time and I got a whole row of rooks. I would spend time, just nerd down at this for 10, 15, 20 more minutes trying to get a whole grid of them. But, and actually I have done this. In fact, let me show you a bunch of photos. I've done this, and this is a screenshot of a bunch of queens I got together. And I got a bunch of rooks together and bishops together and knights together. It's actually super fun to get the knights together. Just something about controlling a bunch of knights starts to feel like a real cowboy rustle. Start moving this guy over, moving this guy over, moving this guy over. Something about these all moving kind of at once sure makes my boots happy. It's kind of a fun little puzzle at the end if you're trying to get them all into an actual 4x4 grid and ultimately a 64 piece grid, 8x8. So anyways, I spent a lot of time doing that. And what else did I do? Got to the point where I would see other people. At this point I was controlling white. It's fun to see someone else kind of get the theme and cowboy up next to me over here. There's actually two funny things in this image. I'm trying to bait someone. I was trying to get them to capture this rook with this pawn. It didn't work. It's actually a joke now that I remember. The pawn can't do that. The pawn can't attack across the board. That's a board barrier. Over here, I'm actually trying to bait a bishop to come out, because if I can get a bishop to come out and kill this rook, I've got a queen set up over here, and it's going to dive in and then just start destroying as many of these bishops as I can. So I'm setting some traps over here, some goofy little games. After I had gotten the queens together and the rooks and the bishops and the horses all together, I started trying to manually get a bunch of pawns in the same area. These are really hard because you have to move them one by one. Oh, but damn it, I tried. I've tried again and again and again. This is an example of building more pawns in, but I'm concerned that people are going to come in and try and attack me. So I build this thick wall of rooks. You have to build a thick wall, at least 2 units deep, or else a horse can jump in. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, I call this one Jay Leno's Garage, just because he has all sorts of cars. I've got all sorts of queens, knights, rooks, bishops, pawns. Just reminds me of Jay Leno's Garage. I'm happy about this arrangement that I made. This arrangement, we've got... You know what, let me crop this one real quick. Let's see, help, crop, save. Kings can never leave the board, so the closest and most number of kings you can ever get together is 4 kings standing in the corners of the board with this 2 wall layer over here. So this is all done manually, and I had fun doing that. I call that the walled garden of the 4 kings. This is some zoomed out mode. Here you can see these are the 4 kings with their wall over here, and they were in close proximity to my Jay Leno's Garage over here, which was actually useful. I ended up bringing over a lot of rooks over here and sending them over, so it was fun to build different supply chain lines. What else we got? We got some examples of good neighbors. People collecting a bunch of black pieces here, putting them as rooks and bishops, and there's no violence here. This is an example of a bad neighbor. Someone came in. I don't really know how they broke the structure. Maybe someone playing white moved these pieces, or maybe they were nefarious and chose to play white intentionally and moved something out to break the formation and got something in. And I've got a screenshot here, but here's a recording of a knight is coming in here and just absolutely annihilating all this stuff. Sorry, that's a rook. It's hard to stop them once they're in there. You just got to be quick. You got to kind of predict where they are. There's me trying to attack, but they're not on the same board. I'm able to get a bishop here. I'm able to get a rook over there. I'm over here chasing this rook, but I've found that when you are one person controlling an attacking piece, trying to kill a bunch of pieces, you can usually destroy a lot more than the person can eliminate your one piece. So I've got a bunch of these screen recordings of stupid stuff. Kind of sad to see this one fall. That is just going back to the reminder of all those cool garages I had. They were insecure because people could, even someone playing white could move a piece out. This arrangement is built such that no pieces can move out by definition. This is the one where the kings can't leave their board, pawns can only move forward, no knight is close enough to jumping out, and the queens and the rooks and the bishops, they just can't move at all because they're blocked. So these pieces are permanently frozen. They will never go away unless the administrator, EIEO, in their own words, they might nuke them. Who knows? We'll see. What else have we got? I tried to make one of these permanent structures. I learned about these permanent structures by reading threads on Hacker News, and I tried to make one, and it was hard. I had to go to the very bottom, because when I logged in, I was playing as black pieces. I found one king at the bottom. If you go to the bottom of the map, there's pretty much not even kings left over there, so I think even out of the 1 million boards, all of the opportunities to build these things are pretty much already gone. If you look at the stats, there's a lot of pieces left on the board. There's a lot of kings left on the board, but there's not a lot of edge pieces left. Maybe there's some fancy things people could do on the side. Maybe not. Oh, else have we got? This is a screenshot of I'm controlling white. Someone had a queen over here. If these pieces kill a lot, they get this axe icon, kind of like a badge of honor. This is a screenshot of the lower right of the screen. When I first started playing, I went to the lower right just because it's an easy position to look at and find again. There was some black pieces lined up, but they only had a single row of defense. What I had to do to break in and destroy it was I had to march a knight down. The funny thing about moving a knight down manually is you have to click on the knight, move in a knight pattern, click on it again, move it, click it, 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 move it. You're only jumping like 3 squares at a time. When you're trying to traverse 40 boards just because everything's been destroyed, it takes a long time to move a knight over. Let's see. It would be much faster if you click on a rook can pretty much slide all the way across the board. So they travel faster, but a rook is never going to be able to break a single line of defense, whereas a horse knight can jump over it. Let's see. This is just another screenshot of me looking at this queen. Looks like this queen has killed 298 pieces, which is a lot. This category of stuff is things that I've seen other people build. This is a French video I found of someone explaining this game, and they found someone that made a beautiful heart. I don't know where this exists in the game, but that's very nice. They've even got a king over there. I randomly came across this one myself. It looks like someone spelling H-I-E. I thought they were trying to spell high. Now that I think about it more, maybe they're trying to do some stupid Nazi shit. Anyways, that's the first time I've seen someone try and spell something. This is another awesome configuration. This is some sort of a stalemate. So there's probably a lot of opportunities to do this in the game. These pawns can't attack because they're on a border crossing. And the pawns lock in every other piece. The horses are too deep in the middle to jump out. Looks like there is a king here. Looks like there is a king here. Even without these kings, you could fill them in with other pieces. So there's probably plenty more room to make this type of arrangement at the various middle parts of the board. The one thing that would be hard about this is you would have to control the black pieces and the white pieces, which is technically cheating, but maybe if you put 2 computers next to each other that control different pieces, you'd be able to coordinate. This is a neat one I saw. This is from the French video again. This is just an example of people being nice and just making interesting arrangements and not attacking each other. Let me show you what I've been doing. I've been spending a lot of time trying to get 64 pawns on the same board, and it takes a long time. In fact, to get that even without any other pieces around, you only ever start with 1 row of pawns on a board, and if you want to go 8 rows deep, you have to pull at least across 8 boards. So that's a lot of clicks. What's the math on that? 8 boards, 64 clicks per pawn times 8. What is that? 256 or something? 512, 1024. I don't know, some variation of that. It's a lot of clicking, and you probably have to move through a lot of white pieces. Anytime that you're moving through white pieces, those are attacks, which means you're probably going to get on the kill radar over here, and someone's going to show up and kill your pawns when they don't know you're just trying to make a stupid pawn garden. So that's been hard to create, but I'm still trying. So what I've really started to do is create something I call Battle Kit. I found a script back in Hacker News. I like this user, yayitswei. I predict this will evolve into bot warfare. So if you go back to the original thread, this person's chatting, and they made a script, and they made it available online, which I have open right here. They made a script where if I copy all this and go over here and paste it, this script moves all the pawns on the board. pretty good script. It's doing this by clicking on the pawns and then just moving forward. It's actually simulating mouse clicks on HTML elements. But I love this. This is great. This is the first script that I had found. I haven't seen anyone else programming this, but I've done a little bit of work, and I took their script and I've extended it. I've got some repo up here. It's at 1 million chessboard battle kit on GitHub. I realize I forgot an S. Maybe I should fix that. But let me show you what this battle kit can do. For one, I have a command that takes my battle kit JavaScript and copies it. So if I run this, I've got a bunch of text in my paste. So let me paste all this, and let me show you what I got. One thing I did is I added it, so if you select something like a queen, I'll see if this works. Usually, come on. Of course it's not going to work. I've tried to add some keyboard controls. Let's see, collect a queen, and I will move it. There we go, it finally worked. Let me refresh and try this again. Okay, collect. Here we go. I'm actually pressing WASD. Let's see. Remind me later. Toggle capturing. Dot. Let's get back on over here. Can you see these letters? I thought that this thing would show you this. Start casting. There you go. So you can see what keys I'm pressing now. So I've added this, and now I've got queen control, and it's just a little bit faster to do this with your mouse, with keys, than with the mouse. This might draw attention of some people, so let's see if anyone ever shows up. I'm just scrubbing along. I'll show you some other stuff. I'm just stepping by 1 right now, but if I press something like 2, I can take 2 steps at once. Or if I press 4, I can go 4 at once. Or if I gear back down to 1, I've got that. If I press 8, I can start moving around 8 at once. So this has been fun to create. I've just been making minor improvements one by one. I've kept in the original scripts thing, where if I press P, I will make all these pawn movements. And here's a favorite. If I press H, I scramble all these horses. I keep calling them horses because I've got them on H. But I chose the horses because they are usually not restricted as much. For instance, if I go to a random spot over here, pawns moving forward is just a little bit too much. Most of the other pieces are blocked in, but knights are not blocked in. Here they're just doing random moves. I think I'm making too many moves and the server's rejecting a bunch of stuff. What else have we got? Here's a good one. I'll put a routine in here called the World Eater. So if I click on a king, it goes through this sequence of moving some pawns open and getting some rooks out, and the rooks come out and consume all these pieces. It works best on a fresh board where I know where all the pieces are going to be. And it's not the most fun thing in the world, but it is a useful thing in other circumstances, like if you're just trying to clear boards. What else have I got? I've got a concept of control groups where I can click on these pieces and control them. Let's see, all at once. Let's see if I can clear out this control group and select them left to right. And let's say that I want them all to take 8 steps to the left. Move over here 2 steps to the left, and take a step down. Oh, come on. I need to do 1 step down, and 1 step down, and 2 steps up, and 4 steps left, and 1 step down, and 1 step down again, and 1 step up, and how about another step up, and 4 steps to the left, and 1 step down, and 1 step down again. So that's what I've been having fun with, is just building a bunch of these weird keyboard commands. I really am still trying to get all 64 pawns on one board. That is my goal. Let's do some goofy stuff here where we start moving some pawns forward. 2 steps, 1 more step, 1 more step. We can actually get them to attack in a certain direction and maybe attack in a different direction. I think I pushed the same key again. But now we're actually a little bit stuck by some other pieces. So let's move these guys all down and take another step down and take another step down. And how about, we just clear these ones out, get these out of here, trying to make room for our pawns to come in. Ah, crap, if I click the king, it activates my king routine, which is kind of funny. I keep forgetting about that. Let's try and move a bishop out of here and a bishop out of here and get this knight out of here. We'll get this out. This is where it's useful to fire up a second tab. This tab does not have my scripts on it, so I can click the king without activating my super king script. Let's see if this works. I think I need to reset my command group. Donk, 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 donk. They all take a step down. They all take a step down. They all take a step down. They all take a step down again. And how about now we just kind of make some kills. And let's clear out, grab all these ones, walk them up, walk them up. So I'm getting better. Like, we've got almost 3 rows of pawns right now. If I keep doing this, I think I can actually get all 64 pawns into a grid. Oh, just for the sake of being thorough, these are just funny videos I've got recording this stuff. Here's a bunch of queens going around. I don't have perfect controls yet, but basically these queens move around and start obliterating stuff. Call these structures combs. What else do we got? Here's a rook comb. There's one space between them. I was experimenting with that. It was before I was very good at understanding I could click and organize the group order in a different way so they wouldn't bump into each other. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, this is just a recording of what I call the World Eater. So I can do this over and over and over again. Blah, 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 blah. There's a fun one here where someone saw me doing this and they started to fight against me. I'm also doing some experiments here of trying to do it like all at once. I'm just glitching out various stuff. dogs are barking. There's a quick scrub through of me trying to get a bunch of pawns together. And it definitely ends with someone figuring out what I'm doing. Well, I thought it ended with someone attacking me, but maybe it's this one. Yep, here's one where I really got a lot of pawns moving forward. Ultimately, I got so close. There's a full column, almost a full column. Some more. I needed to create an army to clear out some stuff in front of me. I'm trying to scoot these rooks in and trying to move them all down in here and trying to clear out this area because the pawns are going to move forward, but that skull mechanism, if you ever click that, it takes you to areas where pieces have been killed recently. So I'm trying to move these pieces up without doing any kills. And I think I just got on the radar of making kills. So I bring all of these units in, and I arrange them in a comb. And then I select them all, and I'm going to... Oh, I'm not even sure what I'm doing here. Okay, I just had trouble selecting them. And they're going to take a step forward. And they're going to take another step forward. And then I'm trying to move them. I was trying to go to the left and attack more. Let's see. I have two windows up, 3 windows up at this point. The left window has my scripts in it. The right window I use for fine control without making mistakes like clicking on a king that activates my annoying World Eater script. I'm using this tiny center window to do an advance all pawns mechanic. And I'm making the window small to intentionally kind of to use it as an obscure select box. Let's see what's going on. I'm trying to select these. Uh-oh, something weird just happened. Something very weird just happened there. In the rear, a rook moved out and a queen came in. So I had a perfectly defended structure here. And then someone controlled a black piece and they moved a white piece in. I'm trying to account for it. I'm happy I saw that at all. But I think that they're going to come back in and sneak something in. Let's see. I think I'm just kind of watching right now. Going back to moving these pawns, trying to move them forward. Oh, look at that. A rook comes up from top. They are certainly controlling both colors of pieces, which I think is nasty, but that's fine. I'm probably doing nasty stuff with these scripts, huh? Now I'm just trying to kill them. It really annoys me that they're killing the pawns. I don't think that they understand how much work it took for me to get these pawns over here. I'm trying to get them. I'm having a hard time. It's hard to get one person. It's even more frustrating that they're attacking from the rear. That means my pawns can't stomp over them. At this point, they know where I am. I think they're very interested in defeating me, and it's just hard to. I used the pawn activator because they had stepped into the pawns. It's kind of funny. It looks like they might have stepped into the pawns thinking that it would be harder for me to get them. But if I do my pawn step forward, which steps forward all pawns simultaneously. Anyways, they eradicate me. I'm trying to get them with the pawns. It's too late. So that's some of the goofy shit that I've been doing. And curious what other people are doing. Curious if there's anyone else programming this. Check it out, 1millionchessboards.com, and my repo up here. And credit to yayitswei to building this script that really got me started.